University of Scranton Center for Ethics and Excellence in Public Service is proud to produce this series of interviews with the 2025 Scranton City Council candidates. All 6 candidates who made it onto the ballot were invited to participate, and 5 accepted our invitation. And today I'm joined by Patrick Flynn, who is running as a Democrat. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So the cost of living keeps going up while many Scranton residents struggle with stagnant wages and/or limited job opportunities. Do you have a plan to attract new businesses, good-paying jobs, and/or to help local businesses grow?
Yeah. First and foremost, thank you so much for having me here today. And it's, the cost of living is going up, and our families and our seniors are feeling it. So we need to attract new jobs, new businesses, new development to the city of Scranton, and make it easier for those businesses to open, to expand, to start cutting some red tape within municipal government to make sure that those small businesses have the opportunity to not just survive, but thrive within the city of Scranton to attract new businesses. So we also need to partner with our colleges, our universities, University of Scranton, Johnson College, to really make sure that our residents, especially our younger residents, are getting the training in some of the in-demand jobs that are important to our society right now. You know, the trade unions, some clean energy technology, all of those things that are budding industries, make sure that our residents here in Scranton have the opportunities to be trained in and get into the job field in those. And if we do it enough with some of our partners in the colleges and whatnot, you know, that may even attract some of those industries here into the city of Scranton if we have the individuals ready to work inside of those industries. And we also have to invest in our infrastructure and revitalizing of our neighborhoods. Businesses want to open in livable, thriving cities, right? So if we are, really investing in our infrastructure, investing in the revitalization of our neighborhoods, those businesses will be coming here into Scranton. We could get some of those higher paid family-sustaining jobs right here within the city's borders.
So some Scranton residents seem far more concerned about crime than others. How concerned should residents be, and what would you recommend that the city should do to address crime?
Yeah, well, I think that, the crime that's a real issue to me is within our juvenile community, right? And how do we address that from both, a standpoint of proactivity, but also prevention. And, we have to arrest people when they commit crimes, but how do we also, on the other side, take some preventative measures, right? Some of our juveniles that, may not have that guidance or some of the opportunities to not go down that pathway. So really investing in them in that way with some after-school programs, mentorship programs, ways to stay out of the streets and stay away from going down that path in life would be very important for me to do, right? Every city has crime. We have crime here in Scranton, and, we always need to address that from a policing standpoint. We also need to start having community policing, police officers out of their cars in the neighborhoods, building rapport with the neighbors in the community to sort of have that shared trust between the police department and the communities they serve. I think will go a long way in trying to solve some of the issues that we're having in Scranton with crime.
Right. Scranton has an aging housing market and arguably a shortage of affordable homes and apartments. What specific policies would you support to improve housing quality and affordability for young people, working families, and/or seniors?
Sure. So in Scranton, we obviously have an aging housing market. I think it's a challenge for us, but it's also one of our greatest assets, right? Some of the beautiful structures we have here in Scranton. I just bought a home last year. It was built in 1920. It's an old house. There's a lot of issues with it, but its beauty is unmatched, and we are very fortunate here in Scranton to have that. But with it comes a lot of issues. I would like to start seeing maybe some investment in helping some of those working families, some of those seniors who want to stay in their homes but can't necessarily afford the big fix that those homes need, to have some sort of programs to help offset the cost for them. Because if we keep those working families, those seniors, those young families starting off inside of those homes, it also stabilizes that neighborhood, right? It helps combat the blight problem that sometimes happens when they get priced out or, have to leave those homes because of some of those issues. If we could start investing from a community standpoint and from a city standpoint and helping some of those individuals, I think it could go a long way. We also, if we look into modernizing some of the zoning and permitting processes, we don't want to zone or permit developers out of some of these housing projects that they could be partaking in, right? We don't want to have the red tape there that they cannot get through and the project goes away, right? So if need be, looking into those to start modernizing it to really get our infrastructure back up and running to the best place it possibly could be, and that goes for housing as well as commercial and business development.
Property taxes have been rising faster than incomes for many residents. Can Scranton balance the city's budget without passing along an even greater financial burden onto residents? If so, how?
Yeah, we need to keep the burden off the residents of Scranton. They've already done enough for us. I think one of the things that we need to look into is the efficiency in spending in city government. Really take a look at that to make sure there's no waste in the spending, that every dollar is being spent efficiently for the residents of Scranton, so we do not have to pass that burden on to them. I would also like to be more aggressive in going after state and federal grant money to sort of offset the cost of some of these bigger projects. And they already are doing this, right? But let's get even more aggressive in this and trying to get some of that grant money into the city of Scranton so the burden doesn't end up falling on the taxpayers.
One of the most divisive issues in the country involves the presence of ICE agents and National Guard troops in American cities. If ICE or the National Guard arrives in Scranton, what should the city say and do? What should law enforcement say and do? And what should Scranton residents say and do?
Yeah, I think, it's no question that we're at a divisive time in American history. Issues like this deepen that divide even more. So I think, although I don't believe it's necessarily a municipal issue, I do think that there are things that leaders in your community could do to help portray a level of calm throughout these horrific events that are happening. And I will say this, the issue is interesting to me because under the Obama administration, there were more deportations than any administration in American history, right? But it was the way that it was done. It was done in a more compassionate, empathetic way, but it still was happening, right? Illegals were being deported. I think this is more of a dog whistle issue that is happening now, and it makes for that more divisive, deepened divide within our communities all across the country. I do believe that our police force should be focused on Scranton first and foremost, and the residents of Scranton, and keeping them safe. So although I don't believe that this is a municipal issue necessarily, I do think that as leaders, we need to stand up and be that sense of calm and understanding and be that pathway to the residents to let them know what's going on and what they could do in these situations.
Finally, are there any additional issues that are important to you, your campaign, or the city of Scranton that we have not already discussed? If so, please feel free to use our final 2 minutes to share your ideas, concerns, or proposals about those issues.
Yeah, so the one issue that I'm always deeply concerned about is substance use disorder, mental health. I am a person in long-term recovery. I just celebrated 11 years in recovery earlier this month. So I think there's a lot that the city of Scranton could do for those residents. I think that also dovetails into another issue that I have been talking about a lot on this campaign, and that's the homelessness issue, right? And we need to combat that homelessness issue in a compassionate, empathetic way. I think the Code Blue shelters and the things that we're doing right now in the Unhoused Task Force are great, but they're only a starting point, right? We really need to figure out, with the help of our nonprofits, in conjunction with them and some of the entities that are already providing these services to this population, to figure out a way to do more to get these individuals to a place where they may be able to have some self-sustainability and build a life for themselves. And that's the true way to get out of this, is to not just put a Band-Aid on it and wait for the next shoe to drop, but really give these individuals an opportunity to make a life for themselves. I believe in everything I've talked about in this campaign for City Council. I am invested in the city of Scranton. My wife Kate and I just bought our first house here in Scranton. We are raising our two sons, Packy, who is 2, and Casey, who's 9 months old, in this city. I want to do better. I want to leave the city of Scranton better than I found it, and that is my promise to the voters of Scranton, that every day I will work hard to leave this city better than I found it. I humbly ask for your vote on November 4th, and thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Patrick. Again, Patrick Flynn is running for one of 3 open Scranton City Council seats. Please remember to vote on November 4th.